What would I do if I had just graduated high school or if I was still in high school? I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do today from all the years of experience of owning multiple businesses, making multi-million dollars, having rental properties, having a real estate brokerage firm, a moving company, had businesses that failed. I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do with all that information, with all that knowledge and experience that I have today. Plus, I'm going to tell you what I did when I was actually going through high school. Okay. So I'm going to start with what I did in the past and how I would make things different today. Now, when I was going to high school, I knew that I was never going to work for someone. My very first job I ever had was working at a car wash in the heat of summer. And I worked really, really hard and I got promoted. I was in junior high actually, very fast. But, they were paying, like, promotions were like 10 cents, 5 cents, and it was very hard work. And that really made me realize that I don't want to work for anyone else. So after junior high, when I got jobs, I was always just trying to get a job just to learn. And I would work there maybe for 2 or 3 days to 2, 3 weeks, never really more than a month. Because I felt like I could learn everything I needed to learn from different jobs. Plus, I didn't like working for the man. So when I was in high school, what I did is I started selling supplements because I loved working out. Because working out had helped me, make a better person out of myself. So I started selling supplements, but at the same time, I started doing personal training. Okay, and remember, I was in high school, not even 18. And what I would do is I would make little business card ads. I would get on the computer, make a little business card ad, go to the local apartment complex at their business center and print those out so I wouldn't have to spend the money in marketing, and put them out in my nice apartments around my parents' house. And rich people would call me. People that were like in their 30s, that were, live in nice areas, would call me. And I would say I would do a free personal training session for you, and I'll evaluate you and give you a workout plan. And I ended up having, a closure of 9 out of 10 customers, 9 out of 10 leads that would come in when they got to meet me when I did the fitness evaluation. When I give them a workout plan, they really realized I was very knowledgeable, and they would go with me and pay me $500, $700, $1,200, $1,500, buying a package of personal training, which I meant my minimum cost was like $65 an hour, and I would sell minimum sessions of 6 sessions and so on. So at the young age of not even 18, I learned how to do marketing, how to use computers, how to run ads, how to talk to clients, how to come up with create a gimmick of marketing where I could render free services to showcase my wealth of education that I had. Because as a high school kid, I knew a lot about health and fitness because I was very, very passionate about it, and I was reading books and stuff like that. So, you know, I went from there. But the problem with the personal training business was, even though it was successful, not that many people wanted to work out all the time, and not that many people were willing to commit to their health. That's why we see obesity what it is today. And so people were not willing to put up 1,200. Even though I closed a lot of deals, it wasn't something that I could, really generate a lot of wealth. But at the same time, I realized that the more successful I became in that business, like personal training, the more busier I became, right? The more busier, and at the time I was going to school where I could only have so much time. Okay. Now, let's fast forward till today. If I was in high school today, the plan that I did back in the day was a great idea because I learned sales, I learned business, I learned marketing, I learned all these valuable skills, but it wasn't systematic. It wasn't like where I can scale it off. I could have, but I would need to put a lot more time into it. Where today, if I was looking back and I was going to start over in high school, what I would do is what I've created today called the new flip, because everyone rides bicycles. If they're in junior high, they're in high school, they're adults. Like just myself, I just spent over $10,000 in buying 2 different bicycles from Track. I bought an EV bike, I bought a gravel bike. Everyone buys bicycles. It's $1 billion industry. Everyone needs it. Well, I say everyone, majority of people versus health and fitness, right? So at the same time, that the new flipping bicycles is a lot more scalable for a lot less time. Okay. Why? Because it takes a very little amount of time to get these deals through the systems that I've created as a copy and paste job. Okay. And all the money that's required is just $100, right? Where when I had to buy supplements, I had to invest like my first bar of supplements to get a discount. I had to spend $2,000. Now think about it, guys. I'm a broke kid in high school. I'm trying to create a business, but I had to buy inventory. I needed $2,000 worth of inventory, right? So it was pretty tough, right? Where with the new flip, I was in high school. All I needed was $100. I could turn that $100 into 500, or $100 into 200 or 700. And the reason it fluctuates in the percentage depends on the deal. Some deals I'll just make 100%. I put $100 in, I turn it into 200. Some deals I put $100 in and it makes 700%, which means I make $700 out of the $100. And it's more scalable. And there's a lot of people that want bikes, from youngsters to parents to adults. And it doesn't take inventory. I don't need to have, $3,000 worth of inventory, which is great. It doesn't take a lot of sales skills, because personal training took a lot of sales skills. It took a lot of time and energy for me to be able to learn how to close one customer that was 33 years old and I'm only 18. Right? You got to think about that. So it took a lot of practice, and stuff like that. So if I could go back in time as a high school kid, I would flip bicycles, because I could stack up a lot of cash and a lot of cheese very, very quickly without having a lot of experience in like knowing how to do sales or finding deals, because it's free on Craigslist. For example, when I did that marketing, I had to put a lot of time into going passing out those flyers. I had to go buy tape to put it on people's doors. I had to, pay for the flyers, but I was smart enough to use creativity and get the flyers for free from the apartment complexes. But I still had to buy the tape. I still had to pay for the gas to drive around, or walking around from third floor to third floor, or from this city to that city to the nicest parts of town, so I could get the affluent people to come in, because, back in 1999, 2000, $600 was a lot of money. You can, seriously, the inflation wasn't like what it is today. It was like someone's 1 month of rent. So $1,200, same thing. So the new flip as a high school kid for me would have been a lot better, because it would have been an easier sell. I would have learned all the math that goes with business, like, profit margins, ROI. I would have learned marketing. I would have learned, you know, uh, sales, negotiation, you know, staging, presentation, sales copy, because and then you flip all the stuff that only goes into it, the flipping bikes. But at the same time, I could have made a lot more money, which is the most important part, because I got all the skills from doing the personal training, right? So I got all the benefits of the skills part, but the money was tied part, right? Because I had to do all this footwork to get the customer. Where today with the new flip, I can just do it from the comfort of my car or comfort of my home or couch through my computer. I don't have to spend any money for marketing. I don't have to spend any money to drive around. And so what I would do is I would do the new flip and stack, as a high school kid, $50 to $100,000. Now that might seem like a lot of money, but when you're getting returns of 100%, you put $100 and get 100% to 700%. It doesn't take that many flips to stack up 10 grand. Okay. It doesn't take that many flips. And if you watch me on my YouTube channel, I'll show you, like, look, I did this, it took this long, how long it took to close. And, you know, um, so what I would personally do is I would do the new flip, stack up at least minimum 10 grand. But more, 50 to 100 grand. And then at that time, I would turn that new flip into a real life business with a retail office space in a very low area, and flip bikes and do bike repairs as a young kid. Because, when I grew up, my friend in high school had a pager business this is before cell phones. And, as a 16-year-old, 17-year, 18-year-old, he had a lease, a business where by the time he graduated, he was able to sell it for multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, when I say that as a high school kid, I could have a store and flip bikes because I'm doing so much volume, it's very, very possible, because I start off with just $100. I stack up 10 to 50,000, if not to $100,000 in 1 year of liquid cash, and I know with inflation it sucks saving cash, but then I would then go get an office space where I spent, $500 a month for office space, and then, move forward with having a bicycle business, and having actually a bicycle, because believe it or not, man, these guys that have these bicycle stores, if they're doing it correctly, they're making a lot of money. Bicycle business is $1 billion business, and then I will graduate from the rich dad cash flow quadrant from an E as an employee from the S, because when I'm flipping bikes, I'm just doing the S, right? I'm doing everything. But then when I create actual live business, when I stacked up 10 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand, and then, I start my own retail store, then I'm going to the B, where I'm going to get people to go get these bikes and get salespeople in there and get mechanics in there, because I already made enough cheese and I know that the business ins and outs, and so I'm not really taking a lot of risk. At this time, I already know the business really, really good, versus other way around where some people may just start a bicycle shop, go get indebted a couple $100,000, and then realize, oh, they don't even know anything about this business or they don't like this business. So, but if I was a kid, what I would do if I was in high school, I would do the new flip, stack my cheese, then turn into a retail, and then have an exit strategy. In 3 years, 4 years, I'll sell that, for a couple of $100,000. And now I would then, by that time, maybe I'd be out of high school, be a freshman in college or whatever. Then I would, go to college debt free, because I don't have to borrow money, because I just made a big chunk of money. If you believe in college, but I don't believe in college, so I wouldn't go to college now that what I know. But some people like to, then they could take that money to go to college versus getting into debt. And at the same time, have that capital where I would put it into the remaining of that $200,000 or $300,000, so what I would use to live, buying, you know, real estate. Okay, and I know my subscriber that asked me this question said, "Don't talk about real estate," but that's exactly what I would do, because I wouldn't buy the rental property. I would get into real estate, what I call wholesaling. It's kind of like the new flip. That's the new flip is basically a prerequisite for wholesaling or being a real estate investor, because it teaches you where to find the deals, how to negotiate, all that stuff. And I would do wholesaling, which means that I don't get to own the property. I just put it on the contract and sell my positioning. I don't have to have money to buy it. I don't have to have credit. I don't have to risk all my money for repairs. There's none of that stuff. I just find a deal and then sell my position to someone else and make 10 grand, 5 grand, 3 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, depends on the deal. And that way I'm making even bigger money while learning the real estate business, because at first, as a high school kid, I wouldn't want to own a rental. It's a lot of work. But from what I know now, I would go from flipping bikes to opening my own retail store, bike shop. Then in 3 to 5 years, I have an exit strategy where I sell it in cash out for a couple $100,000. From there, I would go into, wholesaling real estate, where I only put up maybe 5 to 10 grand of my money in just marketing and buying deals and learn about the business. And then keep stacking the big checks, 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, and just wholesaling deals, depends what kind of deal it is, right? Why I learned about the real estate business. And eventually, since I'm seeing all these deals and I'm getting so much money, right? I'm not getting into debt. None of this stuff requires debt or bank loans. Then I have my own cash to, when a great deal comes in, what I call cherry picking, where I can buy a house subject to the seller's not behind, the house doesn't need any repairs. It's a great area, great condition, and it's going to cash flow positively multi hundreds of dollars a month, 300, 400, 500, because interest rates are so low. Then I would buy that property as subject to, where the seller will become my personal bank, where I don't have to go get a loan, where I don't have to use my cash reserves, because now at this point, I've already flipped a lot of bikes. I started my own bicycle business, and I sold my bicycle business. I have a couple of $100K in the bank. I don't want to risk that, right? So the seller's going to become my landlord. All I got to do is just make the monthly payments and babysit the property, collect on the positive cash flow, and and do that all over again. Because if I'm getting a property and the house is not behind in payments, the seller's, the house doesn't need any repairs, I'm probably just buying it for $2,000 or $3,000 of closing costs, right? And if the house is spitting off $300, $400 a month positive cash flow, how long does it take for me to get my initial $2,000 or $3,000 back? Very short, less than a year, right? So then what I will do is at that time, I own a beautiful rental home that's appreciating, that the renters are paying the debt off. Sometimes I have to make monthly payments because it's vacant, but I have the cash reserves for that. But I took all my initial capital out, the closing costs, because I'm cherry picking the best deals for myself. So basically, I get a free rental, get my money out, and keep doing the same thing over and over, right? So then that way, I keep my cash. I don't get into debt because I'm not getting a loan. The sellers are providing me their existing loan because they already have a mortgage. I'm just taking over their mortgage. The sellers become my private bank, and you know there are going to be ups in there, and there are going to be downs in there, and that's the learning curve. But this is exactly what I would do if I could just go live my life again and I had the same exact information that I did. What I did is I started a personal training business. I sold supplements, and I learned a lot from that. But unfortunately, it wasn't like success. It wasn't something where I could just sell it because, make hundreds of thousands of dollars where, flipping bikes is. You can turn into a full-time fledged business, retail store, and then sell that positioning, especially if you're doing it right. Get a cash out, and then, basically semi-retire at a young age because I would then at that time have hundreds of thousands of dollars, a couple of $100,000 at the very minimum in my banking account. And I haven't borrowed any money to start the business. I haven't got into debt, none of that stuff. I just self-created through bootstrapping, through creativity, the American dream. I don't know why people sweat and think you need money or FICO scores and this because I don't believe in that. I believe that me and you are more powerful. So thank you for my subscriber that asked this question. I thought it was a very awesome question, and I want to take my time to help you guys and realize how I would do it. Not because I wrote this book. No, I wrote this book because I do it. Because, after I give all my stuff up or most of my stuff to the homeless, I needed to create myself a hustle that I didn't have to get into debt. I didn't need to have a lot of money. So I'm just sharing it with you. Unlike the stinky bankers like JP Morgan and other people out there that tell you real estate, that Bitcoin sucks, and they're buying it behind the scene. Excuse me, not real estate, Bitcoin. I'm not like that. I tell you exactly my moves, and I share it with the world because I want to contribute to the greater good of humanity, which is freedom. To be financially free because we're able to create, and we don't need a FICO score or A or B to be our dreams. We don't need that to be our dreams. We are the creator of our own manifestation, and all we need is to believe in ourselves, to take actions, to take risks, and learn from our mistakes. It's okay to fail, but learn from it and do it again and do it again and do it again. That's it. And I have no regrets of my past and what I had to go through, because all those things built me. But the, the message to share with you is just the shortcut of overcoming all those years of failures and making money ASAP, and then making a big sum of money, and then getting into real estate with the least amount of risk from wholesaling, where the liabilities are very little, the payments are very little, the cash requirement is very little, and you learn about the whole business of real estate, and eventually sticking your toes in and getting your own first rental from the best deals that you generate. And then not even getting a loan or putting all your money down, because finding a way to work with motivated sellers where they're going to give you the house in a sense, because they're motivated. Now, I hope that answers my viewer's question. I thought it was a great question. I liked it a lot. If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment. I love to make these videos for you guys. And if you could, hit the like button, leave me a comment because it does help out the algorithm, subscribe, and much love from me to you. And always remember, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and twice as beautiful as you ever imagined. My favorite poet, Rumi. Much love.